Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Maxine Schnall, your new host on Saturday and Sunday night from 6 to 8 p.m., and we are really going to crack some heads here. We're going to have some fun. This is an offbeat, controversial, exciting kind of show, and for our lead-off, our opening act, we really have something hot here tonight. First of all, in our first hour here from 6 to 7, we have Kelly Everts, the stripper for God, who was suing Morton Downey Jr. for $42 million. That should put a little crimp in his lifestyle. And in the next hour, it's Roy Innes of the Congress for Racial Equality. You know the guy that got into that fist fight with Al Sharpton on the Morton Downey Jr. show. Now they're going to be in a charity boxing match. And also, he was on the Geraldo Rivera show. I hope he doesn't punch me out tonight. That's the only thing I'm afraid of. I may walk out of here with a broken nose. But what the heck? I want to get my nose done anyway, so this is the way to do it, right? Maybe Blue Cross and Blue Shield will cover it this way. Anyhow, stay tuned because Kelly Everts joins us in just a moment, and we want to hear from you during this show. We want you to call in. All my fabulous devoted fans who are with me every day from 3 to 5 during the afternoon. Give me a call right now. Get on board with us and say hello. Hey, this is my opening night, and I want to hear from you. 570-WMCA. What do you think of women being the superior sex? What do you think of dominatrixes? I mean, that's what Kelly does, whips and chains and the whole damn thing. But she calls herself a stripper for God. Oh, for God's sake. How crazy can you get? We want you to give us a call and get on board with us because we're going to really have some fun this hour. So stay tuned. Are women the superior sex? Kelly Everts says what? Are they the superior sex, Kelly?
Absolutely. Biologically and genetically, women are the original prototype created by God. Medical science has already proven it, but they're keeping this on a low profile because they want to maintain that male supremacist world. And we're here to knock the crap out of that idea because that is a delusion.
Now, a tough-talking babe like you goes on the Morton Downey show, and he makes mincemeat out of you. What did you do wrong?
Morton Downey beat me up, but I won verbally and spiritually. I was the superior. I took on the entire lynch mob. They're nothing but a bunch of goons and morons, and they were all a bunch of macho men. At the end of the show, I told them they were going to macho man's hell, every single one of them, and that they were morons. If you had seen the show, you would see that it was a victory for female superiority because I maintained my strength. The strength of the goddess was in me throughout the whole show, and every single man jumped up and tried to hurt me and destroy me. And men resort to violence when they cannot control you. When you have got the best of them, they beat you up, and that's what Morton Downey did. He knew I won.
Okay, now, you were on my show before, and a lot of women called in, and they said that you really were not the right spokesperson for women because you're a stripper, and they feel that there's some dishonesty here. I mean, how can you go about representing that you're this wonderful, you're terrific lady when you strip and you take it all off and you make these guys slobber over you and they pay to see your boobs and everything else? I mean, isn't that a contradiction in terms?
First of all, the stigma and the ostracism and the bad repute that women get for showing their bodies and for participating in sex on an amateur or professional level is caused by the male supremacy. It is the male patriarchal religion that said sex is evil except in marriage. And women are evil when they give away their bodies outside of marriage, when they sell their bodies, and when they show their bodies. They are evil. When the goddess religion was in force and matriarchy was in power, women did whatever they wanted with their bodies. They were the priestesses in the temple, and men kneeled and bowed before them and gave them money for sex, and it was part of religion. Sex was a fertility rite. It was an honor to the goddesses.
But wait a minute, Kelly. Let's cool the rhetoric. The fact is that Morton Downey Jr. called you a slut, a whore. He said you had diseases. He said you were a hypocrite. He said some awful things about you. You're turning around and suing him for $42 million. You were on the Richard Bay show, and he said some awful things about you. He said you do whips and chains and all kinds of perverted acts. I mean, what's the truth here? What are you a nice the girl next door? I mean, how do you perceive yourself?
Well, society has got this Madonna whore complex where women are convinced that in order to be respectable and ladies, and in order to have the respect and protection of society, they have to be Madonnas, which means that they're either virgins or faithful housewives. They have to wear button-up clothes. They cannot be sexy. They cannot show their bodies. They cannot throw their breasts around, etc. Now, if a woman deviates from that behavior, she is stigmatized and called names. Yes, they call me names because I have a 46 double D bust line, 2838, and I wear sexy clothes and I flaunt my body because it's beautiful. God made my body and God made sex, and I am not evil, and I'm showing what God gave me.
Yeah, but you're being paid to show that.
I show it when I'm not being paid. I don't get paid to do talk shows, and I wear sexy clothes that show my body, and I get attacked by both men and women. Why? Because the women are jealous. Most of them are uglier than me. I'm better looking than most of them. They're jealous of me because they haven't learned to cooperate. They learned that competition is supposed to be the name of the game.
But are you trying to tell women that they should flaunt their body, that they should show their boobs, that they should jiggle their boobs in front of guys? I mean, these guys are not exactly your high-class clientele to come and watch you be a stripper for God. And how in the world can you be a stripper for God?
Well,
God didn't tell you to get into these clubs and show your boobs.
First of all, women should do whatever they want with their bodies. It's their bodies. They should not be under the guidance and authority of men who tell them what to do with their bodies, right? It is their body, not the man's body.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, the media called me the stripper for God. That became a trademark because the media gave me that title. God told me to save souls. And I went out while I stripped and gave sermons before or after the show. I gave 1,000 sermons in burlesque theaters and nightclubs. That is what God told me to do.
Wait a minute. I cannot see God standing on high on the mountain saying, Kelly, I want you to go into a strip joint and take your clothes off and let everybody see that you have a huge bust. I mean, this did not come from God high on the mountain.
No, it did not come directly from God, but it came directly from my religious teacher and mentor, Reverend Verna Talbot, who founded a church called One World Light. She ordained me, and she says, God said make money from Kelly's body. That was in 1971. She sent me out on the road, and for 6 years I sent her money from my work.
Wait a minute. Did you do prostitution?
No, not at that time. I have done prostitution, but that was way before then.
Wait a minute. You were a prostitute?
Yes, I was, and I'm not ashamed of it. I am not ashamed of it. Let people ridicule me.
Then why
I defend the rights of prostitutes.
Why are you suing Morton Downey for $42 million?
Because he
called
beat
you
me
a slut.
Because that doesn't make me a slut.
You're a prostitute.
Does that mean that I'm a slut?
Well, you took money for sex.
So what?
That's not exactly pure and virginal.
So women give it away. What's the difference? Other women trade it off. You see, I am defending the right of prostitutes, and that's why I am admitting to the world that I have been a prostitute, because I want to speak for them and represent them and help them. And the only way that I can do that is by being honest. And there are most women who have done prostitution do not talk about it, and I know dozens, friends of mine, who are in show business and not in show business, who will never, ever admit until the day they die that they've ever done prostitution. Why? Because of the persecution. The persecution is unfair. The criminalization is unfair.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that you consider this a noble profession?
I consider it no different than any other business. It's just something that will always be there. Men will always want sex. It's men that are see, this is why Morton Downey jumped me. As soon as I opened my mouth, I said, look, I'm tired of being called a bimbo, a whore, and a slut by guys like you. It is men that are the perverts, the degenerates, and the sex maniacs, not women. We do it for money. Men do it for lust. If it's a sin, blame the men, because they are the ones with the lust. We do it because we need the money.
You're pandering to that lust, and you're making the money from them.
Women are in a position where they are unequal in our society. Women have a rough time making money. A lot of women who happen to have the qualifications either sell their bodies or show their bodies or go into the sex trade. That is the only way that they can make a decent living.
Well, I think that I'm going to throw this open to the audience because I have very strong opinions about it. I do not believe that prostitution is the way for women to go. I don't see how you can maintain your self-respect and be a prostitute. However, I don't think Morton Downey Jr. is exactly kind to women either, and that he had no right to abuse you on his show to the extent that he did. Is it worth $42 million? Let's throw it out to the audience. Folks, you have heard Kelly Everts. I'm sure you watch Morton Downey. Maybe you saw her on the show. What do you think of her lawsuit? Do you support what she's saying? And give us a call. We want to hear from you. 212-570-WMCA. If you were sitting in the jury and Kelly presented her case, would you award her any money for being abused verbally and she says pushed around physically by Morton Downey Jr.? It's your turn to be heard. So get on the phone lines with us right now. 212-570-WMCA. And if you have a point of view about prostitution, yay or nay, come forth.